Welcome back to the Wednesday Overflow, our midweek worship experience here at Linworth United Methodist Church. Today, our theme is one of faith conquering fear. And if you look at the scriptures, fear is an interesting concept because there's a couple of different ways we can approach this. On the one hand, there is this idea that the Bible references on multiple occasions to fearing God, that we should have a healthy fear of God. So, what does that mean exactly? Well, it doesn't mean that when I take Bridget and the girls for a walk to the park that I'm tiptoeing, I'm looking around every corner, I'm holding my head, thinking that God is going to strike me down with a lightning bolt from the blue clear sky just because he can. That's not the kind of fear that the Bible is talking about. Instead, it is having a healthy respect and reverence for God's might and God's power and God's glory. Fearing God is an admission and an acceptance on our part that we could not possibly understand the fullness of God's power. God created each one of us and created the universe. So we cannot be on that same level as God. So because God holds our lives in the palm of his hand, we have to have that respect and reverence for God. That is a healthy kind of fear. But so often in our lives, what we see is not a respect and reverence, but what we see is an unhealthy kind of fear that leads to division, leads to walls being put up, leads to fractures in relationships and in society. And if you look at our world today, I would dare say that all of the isms that unfortunately exist, racism, sexism, homophobia, you name it, it's centered in fear of the other, someone that doesn't look like me, doesn't talk like me, isn't from the same place that I am, may not speak the same language. Ultimately, we are easily pointed towards an unhealthy fear of someone else. And we see so many times that it leads to tragic results, to our world being broken apart. So, what message does the Bible have to offer us so that we don't allow ourselves to slip into this unhealthy kind of fear? Well, it's interesting just how many times that we are told this message, fear not. If you Google that exact phrase, the King James Bible, you go to Bible Gateway, search in fear not, it appears over 70 times. 70 times. Fear not. Do you think that God knows something a little bit about our human instinct and how quickly we can descend into an unhealthy kind of fear? And the examples of this message are so many and so varied, from Genesis and God appearing to Abram, who will have a mighty nation of his descendants, to the very end in Revelation, fear not, for I am the Alpha and the Omega. From the prophecies of Isaiah and Jeremiah to the comforting words of Jesus, there is this continual refrain and continual message, fear not. So what does it mean to have faith over fear, faith in place of fear, conquering fear, surpassing fear in our lives? I think it has to be thought about in two ways. First, in the sense of God having that faithful respect and not being necessarily afraid of God, but setting a foundation for that healthy relationship and reverence for God's power in our lives. And that understanding that God will be with us wherever we go. So many times that fear not message is God trying to assure us in uncertain times. For the Israelites wandering in the Old Testament, for Mary as the angels appear, for so many people, those words, fear not, can be a reminder in our darkest and our loneliest hours that God is still with us. But I think it's an important message too in our relationships with one another and our life together, that we need to have a little more faith in one another and a little less fear. We need to be reminded that we share so much more in common with one another than we share in what separates us and drives us apart. And I think what saddens me about this time is often when you go through a crisis, it can either bring people together or it can drive them further apart. And I hope what we can see in our world as people step forward in faith together is that we begin to come together just a little bit more. And we do so in faith and not in fear. It's an important message from God at any time, but especially in our current age. Fear not. And just one example from Isaiah is a short, sweet little passage that maybe you can remember, and maybe you can use this as a reminder. I was reminded in my time in seminary that sometimes the best prayers are the shortest, and that we can just repeat those throughout the day, throughout the week, and just have those as reminders lodged in the back of our head that we can go to just like that to remember something important about our life and our faith. Fear not, for I am with you. Fear not, for I am with you. So perhaps the next time that you sense that maybe that unhealthy fear is bubbling up inside you, remember those words. Fear not, for I am with you. And maybe then we can have a little bit more faith in God and faith in one another on life's journey together. I hope you enjoy these expressions of faith that are upcoming in today's worship. Amen.
Please don't live in fear.
When he told you you're Let your fire fall and cast out all my fear. Let your fire fall, your love is all I need. Let your fire fall and cast out all my fear. Let your fire fall, your love is all I need. He is a liar. He will take your breath, stop you in your steps. He is a liar. He will rob your rest, steal your happiness, cast your feet in the fire. Just fear. He is a liar. Just fear. He is a liar.
Thank you for tuning in for another Wednesday Overflow. We hope you enjoyed this midweek spiritual connection and worship opportunity. And a special thanks to all those who contributed to today's Overflow. As a reminder, you can always catch us each Wednesday on Facebook or YouTube. Drop us a like, a follow, a comment if anything moved you in today's worship. And remember that this coming Sunday, 10 a.m., is a very special Sunday as our confirmation class will lead us in the first ever virtual confirmation Sunday. I'm sure that will be special and uplifting for all of us. So until next time, God be with you till we meet again. Amen.